Yo, what's up, guys? I'm gonna be doing a little commentary slash walkthrough of this heroic Lady Deathwhisper 25 kill in Ice Crown Citadel. For a little bit of context, the boss is Blizz-like HP, we have the 0% ICC damage buff, and my gear score is around 6400. Let's get into it. First thing you'll see is pre-life tapping. This is pretty standard. You want to, have max duration life tap as the fight starts, so you have to recast it list. And right here you see that I pre-pop a Wild Magic. Now, if you're getting a late Tricks of the Trade, you can start with a Potion of Speed. If you don't get a Tricks and you're feeling lucky with a 4-piece proc, you can still pre-pot the Wild Magic. And if you get Tricks on pull, you can just go ahead and pre-pot the Wild Magic also. Now, the reason to use Wild Magic over Potion of Speed is because of Corruption Snapshotting. Every time you manually cast Corruption, it'll take your crit percent and all your damage modifiers and keep that the whole fight as long as you keep reapplying it through Everlasting Affliction, which is the Warlock talent that refreshes your Corruption whenever you Haunt, Drain, or Shadow Bolt. So what I'm doing in this opener is I'm popping a Wild Magic, and I'm basically praying that I get a 4-piece proc. The things that, the relevant crit buffs and damage buffs that you get are Wild Magic, Tricks of the Trade, Death's Embrace, which is a talent that is the Affliction Warlock Execute talent, and the tier 10 4-piece. And debuffs on the boss. Like you see this Totem of Wrath debuff that's 3% crit, and that'll snapshot too. So what I'm doing here is I'm pre-potting this Wild Magic, and usually before tier 10 you'd pre-cast a Shadow Bolt, but since I want to get that 4-piece proc, I'm popping the Wild Magic and casting this UA as soon as possible. I don't want to lose any UA uptime at all, because I'm on a timer. Like I need to get that 4-piece to proc so my rogue can Tricks me so I can have a massive Corruption the whole fight. So here's the opener. I put my dots up. I don't really worry about waiting for the debuffs to be applied before I put the Corruption up, because then I'm going to recast it anyway. So I cast UA, Corruption, get my PI, Rocket Gloves, move up, and Shadow Bolt. And since I really want that 4-piece proc, during my Wild Magic, I start casting UA immediately. I probably should have casted UA on this, and then UA on this, and then UA on this before I started using Corruptions, but luckily I get a proc really early. So I finished dotting these two because dots do big damn. And now I get the proc, right? I have 4-piece, I have Wild Magic. The rogue is monitoring my 4-piece, so he's going to Tricks me any second now. I get Tricks. I throw one last Corruption up. I recast Haunt so my dots don't fall while I'm seeding here. Haunt's casted, and you see I manually recast Corruption there. So now this boss has a massive Corruption on her for the rest of the fight, and my goal for the rest of the fight is to never let this fall. In the meantime, I threw my dots out. They're probably going to get full ticks, and I start seeding immediately. I call for a bop here. I mean, you might as well utilize it, right? There's a chance of die to threat here, because we really don't want to use Tricks on tanks, because it's a huge DPS loss. So I'm throwing some seeds out, hitting the Fat Sapper charge, and then throwing my Nightfall into the boss to refresh that Corruption. And then it's just standard lock rotation. You keep your dots up, you Shadow Bolt. Don't clip your dots. There's some mind control mechanic here. I put that guy on focus and CS him, and that's all I'm going to do, because, you gotta do big damn. Pretty soon I see ads are spawning. So here we just kind of chill. Single target rotation. When these ads come out, I really want to put dots on them, because dots are just a lot better than Shadow Bolt. Waiting. Refresh stuff on the boss. Your dots on the boss are always going to take prio, because you have Haunt and Shadow Embrace up the whole time. So here they come out. I throw Corruption on each of them. Make sure I get another refresh here, and then I start seeding again. You want to target the ads that you don't have Corruption on to seed, because if you seed a Corruption, a mob with Corruption, it just basically wastes that Corruption. Another thing is I should probably pop my Rocket Gloves here. That bites me in the ass later on. Seed. The Haunt's getting low, so I refresh it. Luckily, since I threw a Nightfall into the boss, the Shadow Embrace wasn't falling. If the Shadow Embrace would have fallen, I probably would have cut that last seed out and haunted the boss. And right here they called to stop DPS on boss and kill this deformed fanatic, because only casters can do damage to this mob. So you'll see my Corruption gets dangerously low here. And when that happens, you can see I immediately start casting a Focus during life. This is really important for these fights where you never want to let your Corruption drop. This is by far the fastest way I can reapply this Corruption. It'll be even faster in Classic too, because I think it'll do it immediately instead of on the first tick. So this basically saved my skin here. Anyways, you put your dots up, you try to get in range of the boss. Sometimes your tanks will just troll you and kite the boss away from you. It is what it is. You want to life tap when you're moving, but not overly life tap. You see a ghost spawns here, and I move over and see if it's aggro to me, and then I start casting again. And it's just, once again, it's rinse and repeat. These ads will come out, I'm going to dot them. There goes some ghosts. No ghosts near me, so I'm safe. I could also be throwing some Serenite bombs. I don't know if I throw any. It's kind of weird to do in between casts when you have this high ping. So add spawn on alternating sides of this room, so you can actually, I don't know, you can move a little bit better, say on the add spawn side when it happens. I run over and I corruption all 3. And I just start shadow bolting the boss. And what I want to do is, I want to throw this Nightfall into an ad. If I had proper nameplates, I would probably be able to. Because it would basically refresh a corruption and get a free corruption out of that Nightfall, but it doesn't, so I had too much haste, so the corruption falls. I just see these ads up while making sure my dots don't fall from the boss. Once again, I should probably rocket or hyperspeed accelerators right here, which is the glove on use, but I don't. It's actually kind of bad too. You see this UA cast is 0.9 seconds? You kind of want to rocket glove, sorry, hyperspeed accelerators after you cast UA, so you don't waste any of that haste, but it's not a big deal, I guess. Right here, I think about moving out of this D&D, and then I remember that I'm a Warlock, and I'm self-healing through all of this easily, so I just chill. We get lusted, and the boss is about to hit execute, and I'm about to take off, right? Get near these ads so I can dot them. They're extremely hard to target because 3.3.5 nameplates are garbage, and I spend like a couple milliseconds just not doing anything. That's bad. I throw off a Soul Shatter here because it's actually a threat-sensitive fight, and I don't want to Soul Shatter while I'm draining soul. I recast this, get the haunt up, and right here, I just pop my haste potion and start draining immediately. I have Eradication, Bloodlust, 4-piece, and I'm going to haste pot here, and I'm going to get some massive drains off. Drain soul snapshots. So at the beginning of your drain soul, it'll take your spell power, all your percent damage things, and your haste. And for this entire drain soul, it's going to benefit from all those procs, even if they fall right after you cast it. So basically, you kind of want to recast drain soul when appropriate. So right there, you can see I recasted it to get a little bit more benefit out of Eradication. So I'll let this go until I have to refresh Haunt, because, you know, the corruption gets extremely fast too. You kind of have to recast Haunt a little bit early. So I drain soul there, and I'm gonna probably, yeah, I recast the drain soul to get a little bit extra 4-piece lust and haste pot. I'll probably let this entire drain sit, and then after it I'll probably haunt, if I had to guess. And then at this point, you know, there's no point in refreshing your dots because the boss is gonna die. You just throw the haunt off and you finish the drain. One more thing I forgot to mention is when the boss reaches 35%, if it lasts long enough, ideally, the rogue would tricks me here on my 4-piece, and I would just recast the corruption with no potion of speed. Now, I don't know how long the fight needs to be for you to do that over just waiting until 25% and getting the tricks. I do think it's worth it, though. Unfortunately, I'm probably just out of range of the rogue, because this fight kind of causes, or it requires you to spread a bit so the ghosts don't kill your entire raid. So, yeah, that's that.